So welcome everybody. My name is Sabrina and I'm an educational technology champion for the IgnitED Labs here at Mary Lou Fulton Teachers College. This session is going to cover Microsoft Sway, which is a site that offers users the ability to choose from some formats and themes in order to share some content or information. With that being said, this particular learning session is focused on how educators can create a clear and understandable website. In general, Microsoft Sway is not exclusively intended for designers or developers or anything of that sort. Instead, it actually offers some themes, some images, and different coloring, some things like that that really allow users to focus on the content that they'd like to share over anything else. So there are two modes that users can choose from. The first being a downloadable app, which is just like Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint, and then the second one being the site that you can access through a browser, which is the route that we'll be taking today. So note that both of these options do offer the same level of functionality, and that Microsoft Sway is also 100% free to use. So at the IgnitED Labs in general, we do very much aim to inspire and guide educators of all different experience levels as to how technology can actually help them enhance their lesson plans. So with Microsoft Sway specifically, there are a ton of options. They really range from creating digital lesson plans to classroom newsletters, example projects or collaborative projects, many options. And you can have them all in one spot using Microsoft Sway. So for the sake of this learning session, we're going to assume that I am an instructor who's using Microsoft Sway and that I've assigned up to 30 students this project where it's basically a cumulative project, maybe like a capstone, and I want them to go ahead and share their work, their final product on one site that can be seen by their peers as well as the community. And I'm going to use Microsoft Sway to do that. So in preparation for this session, I definitely did have some content prepared. I put together a little Sway, and I'm going to go over how I made some of those choices and how I would edit some of those current choices so that you can see what Microsoft Sway really has to offer in terms of features. So I will go ahead and screen share. So we can see here that we have, I went to sway.office.com, and the first thing that I'm going to see is what says My Sway. So if you were to open this up for the very first time, you'll really just see the templates. So although you can 100% create something from scratch, you can choose one of their templates, and just some general guidance in that sector is to really look for something that meets the goal that you're trying to accomplish. So for me, I wanted something that was professional and clear. It's really going to work as a sort of showcase, and I want it to be represented as such. A general note with that, though, is that although you might like the way that this business presentation works or this how-to works as a base foundation, Microsoft Sway definitely allows users to customize their sites to a high degree, so that if you do just like the foundation, you can definitely make it what you want from there. When I went ahead and explored these, I definitely like the way that this vision document looks. So I'll go ahead and just show you what that looks like as an actual template. When you scroll, and I have a physical mouse, when I'm scrolling down, it's going from left to right, which I think is kind of cute. It does look professional still, even with the font and the color choices. And when I really like these, which kind of look like flashcards to me, which I later learned they're called stacks. And I also like how it has this outline option here. So for my purposes, if I'm using this as a sort of showcase for my students, I definitely want people to, as an audience member, be able to say, I want to see what my specific student did, or, something like that. And here we can really choose. If I had these as student names, for example, I could just select that student and go right to their page instead of having to scroll through anything like that. So in any other case, I would select this Start Editing This Sway button, but I did go ahead and prepare for this. So I'll show you what it looks like now. So I will click on here. First thing that I want to show you is these two options up here. So we have the storyline and we have the design. The storyline, as you can see, is really where we're making all of those big changes. And if you're interested at all in what it would look like to the audience, this is where you would do that. So you come over to the design tab and you can see exactly what it would look like to the audience. You'll notice that there are some things. So typically you can click on here and you can expand this picture so it'll go like full screen. If you were to do this in this regular design tab, and it tries to give you some other options to edit the image. If you want to see truly what the audience would see, you would press play up here, and that would show you the transitions. It shows you how the image that you selected would be panned over. It shows you all of those sorts of details. So I'll go ahead and I will go back to edit. The first thing that I did was look at the styles tab. So here, this is where you can really choose from their general formats. So I believe, there are a lot of options, and there are things that, they'll put filters over your pictures. This is one that we just had. So again, I did prepare for this and sort of explore what would look the best. And I did decide to go with the sky, which is style 1, variation 2. So by clicking out of it, it automatically saves it. You don't have to do anything else. And that's a general note for Sway, is if you do accidentally happen to close this tab or your computer dies, you're not going to lose any of your progress. If everything automatically saves, and when you return to the site, it'll be just as it was when you left. So to get into the general meat of it, we can come over to the storyline tab. We can look at these these sections that they have. So in general, we do have our title, right? We have these 2 text cards, and in general, we do have cards as a general component of using Sway. So we have image cards as well. So I do want to note that these all collapse. They fully collapse. So here we essentially have these major sections where we have our title, we have sort of a little introduction that I created, and then we have what would be students' work. So if we start out from the top, this is our introduction. We can drop that down and we can see all of the different aspects. So here we have 2 major aspects, and these did come with, but these boxes did come with the template. So I just changed the text, and just, like you would anywhere else, you can type, you can delete. Here I decided, just by messing around with it visually, that, I did like the way that this looked when it was bolded or emphasized, as they call it. If I want it to be italicized, I would choose accent. I don't necessarily like that. You can also add links, which is not necessarily appropriate for a title, but it might be of use later on. One general thing is this image here. So I don't know if you noticed, but that image was a little bit grainy. It wasn't the best quality when we first showed it. If you want to change that image, or just the image that it originally comes with, you would select this insert button up here. It will pick up some of these keywords, and it's going to see throughout the text and try to give you suggestions, which is very much appreciated. And in this case, I really just want a graduation cap. So this is a cumulative project. I want something that really screams graduation. So say I didn't necessarily like that image, but I want to do this one. You can take the whole route where you select add, and it's sort of it's a process. It's a little bit of a hassle to try to move things around. One general shortcut is just to drag it. You'll notice right now it's just white. If I hover over it, it turns green, and that'll replace the image alongside this title text. By default, it does not delete that image altogether. Sort of acts as if you might use it in the future, but you can go ahead and just delete that altogether. One final note with the images is that it does offer this Creative Commons only box that's selected here, and that's great. It's a great feature so that you are not using anybody else's content without their permission. And now that we're done with that, we can go ahead and exit out. So these 2 text cards, they did come with the template. So this one did suggest, and it'll tell you, suggest putting a quotation here, which is exactly what I did. The same thing, I bolded this. If I wanted to, I could italicize it. There are also, now that it's just a regular text card, there's some extra, you can create a heading, bullet points, or numbers. And then same thing here. I just wanted, as part of the intro, I have this little quote, maybe an inspiring quote, and then I want to have a general introduction as to what the audience can expect by scrolling through here. So this just explains, this is maybe a signature project to showcase their talents and experience, and that you can scroll through to see what each student has completed. So as an instructor, I might very well decide that I want to create an example setup and format, and tell my students basically look at what I did and follow the same format yourself. And that's exactly what I did here. So here I have this heading card, and this came with the template as well. I decided that I was going to put my name first. So from an audience perspective, they can select that outline and just decide, I wanted to see what Sabrina did or what this other student has done. And in this case, that was followed by the title of the project itself. So as an instructor, especially in this kind of format, I might ask students to create some sort of summary or abstract for the creation or project that they went ahead with. And in this case, I did, I just have a couple of sentences here. And then because it was a capstone, something that might be of use here is to offer a link. So in general, you can just directly copy and paste this from, whatever website that you would like. You can also just press the link if you want to make it this hypertext. That's completely up to you. That's just, a component of this situation or this scenario that I'm giving you. So I do want to point out, so here we have what says group automatic, and only the text part goes under there. Here we have group and stack, which is, as I mentioned, my favorite feature of Microsoft Sway. So when you select, right, if I were to come down here and I said I wanted new, group is a section that I can choose from, and then there are 5 different sections. We're not going to go into depth right now about each of these different sections, just really the automatic and the stack. If you check out the reference sheet for this particular learning session, each of those are broken down with images and sort of examples as to how you might use them, especially as an educator. So in general, I can select stack, and that's going to create a new one. In this case, I don't necessarily need it, so I'll go ahead and delete that. But essentially what I want to show you is that with automatic, it really just, it gives you a completely blank area, right? And from there, you can decide really any type of media that you would like to add or text that you would like to add, and that's completely up to you. So those are really the two main ones. So there's the automatic, which gives you the blank, and then there's the stack, which really gives that sort of flashcard feel to it. So in this case, I had 2. If I wanted to add a second one for whatever reason, even if it is blank, I can 100% do that. I can move it around. It's, it does give you a lot of options. It's very intuitive. In this case, for any type of major project as an instructor, I might be interested in some highlights. So highlight 1, and that's just text that I typed out, is the materials that were used in this situation. And then highlight 2 might be, the actual process, the major steps, or, whatever I feel is appropriate in that case. The last component that I wanted to show you is that just like you are able to switch out the image here for a heading card, which, this is just a black image. I literally just looked up black square just because I thought that it would look nice with the name behind it, and it does. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. You can do things just like that. But if I want to show an image of my actual project, I can 100% choose insert. If I choose image, it's going to take me back to that insert tab where we can choose a Creative Commons image. If we're showing something of our actual project that we have on our computer locally, we can just choose upload, and that'll let you choose really anything. It lets you do an image, but it will also let you select a PDF if that's better for you. So in general, we can make those design choices. Like I said, we can either use this bottom, or we can scroll to the top if we have a physical mouse. So in general, we can see, this is the text that we're going to see. This is the general format that we're going to see. If we put it into play, we can see the exact transitions. So we can see how that pops in and how we continue to scroll. This doesn't have the same panning effect, probably because the image isn't as big as the first image that we had. But if you'd like to do that, you 100% can. The last feature that I would like to share is the share feature. So if you're familiar with like Google Docs or Google Slides, you can give somebody a link and they can edit or view it depending on the permissions that you allow. This is the same exact concept. You select share. You can select who you would like to share it with. In general, anyone with the link is might be a safe bet if you are giving it to your students, and you might want them to edit so that they can follow the same exact format that you did. You would just copy and paste this and insert it into an email, remind, group me, whatever format that you use to communicate with your students. At the same time, if you are deciding everything is done, it looks good, and we want to show the community, you would put it into view. This is just a standard link that you could copy and paste into anything. If you select this get visual link, it copies the entire thumbnail with this intro image that you selected, which is just more of an aesthetic choice, but it does look nice. But with that, those are the major components of Microsoft's way for designing a site, specifically with an educator in mind. As I mentioned a couple times, we do have a reference sheet that goes alongside this, and that can be found on our website at ignitedlabs.education.asu.edu. Again, my name is Sabrina, and I'm an educational technology champion in the Ignited Labs. And thank you so much for joining.